Good day. Today I'm going to discuss to you the continuation of our topic regarding the information and system concepts. So for today, I'm going to discuss to you the system. So what do you mean by system? Pag sinabi natin system, okay. So when we say system, okay, it is defined as a collection of elements that are integrated to achieve the required goals. Okay, so for example, an organization where various departments such as production, sales, marketing, and finance are integrated to achieve the common objectives of an organization. So in general, the word system has different meaning in different situations. So, sir, ano no po yun? Kasi, ayun, we cannot say na system natin is all about computer lang, no? So at least we must know the general ideas of a system itself. Okay, so the word system implies different meaning for different people. Okay, so for example, the word system in terms of sports has a different meaning from the word system in the terms of organization. Okay, so the use of the word system in context of computer relates to monitor, processor, and printers, okay, that are integrated to perform various operations. And then, pag sinabi naman nating system in MIS, okay, so it deals with the input, processing, and output of data. Okay, so depending on the requirements, okay, MIS may involve two processes or two classification of system. It could be a single processes system, MIS, or yung isa pa na tinatawag natin na multiple process MIS. So let's now proceed with the single process MIS. So pag sinabi natin single process MIS, the system receives input from a single source, processes the input, and produces an output. So yung output na na-obtain during the single process MIS is sent to a single system. So makita nyo dyan sa mismong figure, so we have a linear figure wherein meron lang tayong isang pinagkukuhanan ng input, then you're going to process it, and then yun lang din yung output. Okay? Kung ano yung mismong in-input natin, okay, so based on the input, which is a single processes, so isa lang din yung magiging output niya. Okay po? So next, let's have the multiple process MIS. So sir, paano naman po pag sinabi nating multiple process MIS? So, pag sinabi natin multiple process MIS, the system obtains input from multiple sources, then processes the input, and then produces an output. So, the output obtained during the multiple process MIS is being sent to a multiple system. So, gaya nung nandito sa mismong figure natin, okay, so the multiple input-output processes. So, we have these are too many inputs, okay, from different resources. Okay, so dahil marami siyang input, it could result into multiple output also. Okay, which is being sent to a multiple system na nangangailangan ng ganitong output. Okay po? So that's the classification of the system. So now let's proceed with the types of system. Okay? So to avoid any ambiguity, okay, of the use of the in using the word system, okay, in various circumstances, a system has been categorized into various types. Okay, so consider an example where one person talks about system as collection of concepts and ideas. Okay, so the listener perceives that the system is an integrated operational unit of person, machines, and equipment. Okay, so depende kasi kung sino yung kausap mo, kung ano yung field niya. Okay, so the word system will be deeper, okay, in various circumstances. Okay, so actually we have 9 types of systems. So let's have the first one. Okay, so the first types of system, no, actually not a first one, but yung 2. Okay, kasi we are dealing with the contrast of the system. So we have the abstract and the physical system. So, pag sinabi nating abstract, okay, an abstract system is the collection of interdependent ideas which may or may not be present physically in the world. Okay, so consider for an example, is yung ideas about the Indian history. Okay? So, yung mismong idea na yon, okay? The idea, the concept, the history itself, okay? It has no physical presence in the world na. Okay? Nakukuha nyo po yan. That is considered as a system. Okay po? Nakukuha. So, again, ano ba pag sinabi nating system? Pag sinabi kasi nating system, that is an integration, okay, of different scenarios to achieve a common objectives. Okay? And that abstract, for example, is the history. Okay? There is a objective kung bakit ba natin pinag-aaralan yung history. Okay? So, that is considered as a system. So, next, let's have the physical system. So, on contrary, okay, physical systems are defined as a collection of concrete operational systems that are physically present in the world. Okay? So, sir, ano po itong tinatawag natin na concrete operational system? So, itong concrete operational systems, this consists of people, materials, machines, energy, and other physical things. Okay? So, physical system displays some activity or behavior in contrast to the abstract system, okay, in the world. So, for example, is the computer system. Okay? The computer system includes monitor, processor, printer, and the UPS. So, these elements constitute together to achieve the common objective. Okay? So, that's the difference between the abstract and physical system. So, siguro isipin nyo na lang that pag sinabi natin abstract, it's all about the concept, ideas, history, okay, laws, and regulations. Okay? So, there is no, actually, the physical appearance or physical presence of those in the world. Whereas, pag sinabi naman natin physical system, meron, nag-e-exist talaga siya. Okay? So, ayun nga, ganang example natin is a computer system. So, next, let's have the deterministic and probabilistic system. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin deterministic system, okay, it is defined as a system in which the output of a system can be predicted with great certainty for a given set of input instruction. So, pag sinabi ka sa ating deterministic is, alam mo na agad kung ano yung gagawin ng mismong system na to. Okay? Based on the input. Nakuha po. So, example is, yung ginagawa ninyo, okay? Computer programs, okay? So, a computer program is defined in terms of certain machine instruction. So, for example, is for a particular set of input condition and given program instruction, yung programmer mismo can easily determine the output of the computer program. So, any deviation from the standard output will be reported as an error in the MIS. Okay po? Kasi syempre, as a programmer, you already know what will happen in the system na ginagawa mo, in the program na ginagawa mo. So, there is already determining, or na-determine mo na agad kung ano yung magiging output mo. Okay po? So, deterministic. Kaya siya tinawag na deterministic because you already know what will be the output. Next will be the probabilistic system. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin probabilistic system, okay, it is a system in which the output of a system is influenced by the behavior of the system. So, under ideal condition, the probabilistic system generates the same output as a deterministic system. Okay po? Nakukuha po. So, for example, okay, merong job na naka-assign dun sa mismong employee. Okay? So, under ideal conditions, okay, yung employee is expected to complete the job within 10 days. Okay? If human factors such as behavior and emotions are taken into consideration, okay, the number of days required to complete the job may be extended. Okay? Moreover, there is a probability of error as well. So, nakuha po yung ano natin ng probabilistic. Sa probabilistic is you cannot determine what will be the output. Okay? You cannot determine yung mismo expected output mo. Okay? Because there could be an instances or uncertainties na pwedeng magbago yon. Nakuha po. Gaya ng ginawa nating example kanina. Okay? For example, kayo na lang, binigyan ko kayo ng deadline na ganitong araw is manatapos nyo siya. Okay? But then, due to some reasons, okay, valid reasons, for example, is nawala ng internet, nawala ng electricity, you cannot submit yung pinapagawa ko sa inyo on time. Okay, so ang mangyayari doon is magkakaroon ng extension. So, ibig sabihin, yung expected na output is na-influence na siya ng mga surrounding factors or surrounding elements. Okay, nakuha po. So, that is the probabilistic system. So, now let's have the open and closed system. So, sir, paano pag sinabi na, or ano pag sinabi nating open? Okay. An open system is defined as a system that depends on its surrounding environment for the input. Okay po. Yung exchanging of information with the surrounding environment may take place in the form of information, material, or energy. So we could also say that open systems are flexible in nature and tend to adapt themselves to any change in the environmental conditions. Nakuha po? So for example, okay, we as humans, okay, are an open system. Okay po? So human systems perform tawag dito such thing na to maintain equilibrium with the surrounding environment. Okay? For example is, I don't sure kasi if you know this, the homeostasis. Okay, homeostasis, okay? Then another thing is human beings also react to the change in the surrounding climatic condition. Okay, such as summer, winter, or spring. Okay? Di ba yung mga sinusuot natin, okay? We are changing clothes depending on the environment. Nakuha po. So, syempre, hindi ka naman magja-jacket kung sobra namang init. Okay? So, as much, yun yung normal. Okay? Yun yung normal na ginagawa ng isang human. Okay? So, syempre, pag malamig, doon ka magsusot ng sweater or jackets. Okay po? Then, sando or sabihin natin shirts kapag mainit. Okay? So, tayo, okay? We are, tawag dito, depending dun sa mismong surrounding environment natin. Okay po? So, any MIS that is being influenced, okay, by customer taste and preferences is said to be an open system. Okay po? Nakuha. So, next, let's have a closed system. Okay? Sinabi naman natin closed system, it is defined as the one which is not influenced by any change in the surrounding environment. So, ideally, okay, closed information system is rare in nature. Okay? Kasi usually, systems are not ideally closed and are less influenced by the surrounding environment. Okay? Actually, mahirap kasing makakita ng mga ganito na mga closed system that is not depending on the surrounding environment. Okay? Bibihira lang talaga siya as in. Okay? Kasi pag sinabi mo kasing closed system is wala siyang pakialam dun sa kung ano man yung nangyayari dun sa paligid. Okay, kung ano yung nakasat sa akin na gagawin, yun lang siya. Okay po, nakuha. So, next, let's have the user-machine system. So, ano naman, sir, pag sinabi nating user-machine system? Pag sinabi nating user-machine system, these are defined as a system where people work in close proximity with machines. Okay? So, in the present era of advanced technology, okay, you will hardly find any system that works without human or without the use of machine. Okay? So, in this kind of system, both man and machines work hand in hand to achieve the common objective of an organization. So, sir, ibig sabihin po, yung mga nabanggit na unang types of system could also be considered as a user-machine system. Yes, it could be po. Okay po. So, this is really, tawag dito, tricky, especially if you are going to identify what is the best to be called dun sa example. Okay po. So, an example kasi is yung machine system. Okay, we all know that the machine system have already the predefined sets of instruction and yung gagawin niya. Okay, and most likely, machine system produce deterministic result. Okay po. And the system where people are involved producing probabilistic result. Okay po, nakuha. So, computer and the operator that perform the record operations on the computer can best exemplify the user-machine system. Okay, nakuha po. So, ayun yung pinaka-best example ng user-machine. Okay. yung mga computers na ginagamit ng tao or tayo as end users na gumagamit ng mga computer. So that is an example of a user machine system, as well as yung mga nasa production or working. Okay po, halos lahat naman is could be considered as a user machine as long as there is a human intervention. Okay po. So next, let's have the formal and informal system. So pag sinabi natin formal system, it is the one which is based on the organization represented by the organization chart. Okay po. So, sir, ano pa pag sinabi natin organization chart? So, pag sinabi kasi natin organization chart, okay, it represents relationships among the various levels of management. Okay? Where the levels are mentioned in boxes and relationship shown by boxes connected by straight lines. Okay? It is concerned with the pattern of authority, communication, and workflow. Okay po? So, in other words, pag sinabi natin formal mo, meron siyang sinusunod na pattern or sabihin natin na hierarchy, okay, organization. Okay po? So, pag sinabi naman natin informal system, it is an employee-based system that is designed to meet the personal and vocational needs of employees. Okay? So, it also helps in identifying the work-related problems of the employees and helping them to solve those problems. So, most likely, pag sinabi natin informal system, it deals with the employee. Okay? Yung sa mismong mga empleyado. O kaya naman is dun sa mismong tao talaga. Okay? Parang nangyayari dito, okay? Pag sinabi kasi natin informal system is, if you are, tawag dito, is affiliated with some organization, okay, nagtrabaho ka sa isang kumpanya, okay, that is, sa loob na yon, okay, you are using a formal system. Nakuha po. Whereas, for example, is you are a freelancer, you are not employed to anyone, okay, merong ang sariling business, okay, that is an informal system. Okay po, nakuha. So, those are the 9 types of the system. Okay? So, next, let's have the concepts related to the system. So, sa concepts related to a system, okay, there are various concepts related to a system that helps perform the operations of a system at a great comfort. So, this concept also help in demarcating one system from the other. Okay, pag sinabi natin demarcating is you are limiting or setting boundaries. Okay po, yung pinaghihiwalay para madaling ma-distinguish. Okay? So, various types of system concepts are the following. So, we have 5. We have the boundary, interface, black box, decomposition, and integration. So, pag sinabi nating boundary, okay po, pag sinabi nating boundary, each system, whether open or closed, probabilistic or deterministic, needs to be defined within the constraints of the boundary. So, the boundary is used to identify and isolate similar types of system in an organization. Okay? So, we could also say that the boundary represents a hypothetical concept which may or may not physically exist. Okay po? So, yung concept ng boundary varies from one system to another. Okay po? Nakuha. So, let's have an example. Okay? An example is a production system wherein yung boundary excludes raw materials and finished goods from the system itself. Nakuha po. So, the other system naman, dun sa mismong same organization, okay, may define its boundary that includes raw materials and finished goods in the system. Nakuha po. Malinaw po. So, the surrounding outside the boundary of a system are defined as an environment. Okay po. So, gaya nito, nandito sa ano natin. So, meron tayo ditong input. Okay. This is an example of a system boundary. Okay. So, we have here the input. Ito yung mismong system natin. Okay. So, nandito nangyayari yung mga transformation ng mga data na nakukuha natin. And then, it will go to, it will produce an output. Okay. So, ito yung environment natin, yung nakapaligid dun sa mismong system. Then, we have here the boundary itself na nakasurround dun sa mismong system. Okay po? So, dun sa mismong boundary na yon, okay, ang ginagawa nun is, or ang classification nun is, inaalam kung ano lang yung mga kasama dun sa mismong system. Nakuha po. For example nga, katulad ng example kanina. Okay? Ang boundary natin is yung mga raw materials and finished goods. So, regardless kung ano man yung nandun sa paligid ng system natin, environment, okay, it will only accept those raw materials and finished goods. Okay? Because we are dealing with a production system. So, hopefully, naintindihan po. Okay po? So, next, let's have the interface. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin interface, okay, it helps the users to interact with the system. So, for example, okay, meron tayong mga multiple subsystems integrating with each other to form a perfect system. Okay? So, in systems na merong mga multiple systems na involved, okay, it is really essential to determine the subsystem that accepts the input from the environment. At the same time, kailangan din ma-determine kung alin part doon ng system yung magpo-produce ng output. Okay? To return it to the outside environment. So, for example, ito, we have the integration of subsystem. So, ito yung tinatawag natin na subsystem. Then, ito yung isang malaking system. Okay po? So, they are forming to form a perfect system or a big system. Nakuha po. Wherein, meron tayo dito na input. So, dito sa example natin, okay, we have here subsystem A as the subsystem that accepts the input. Okay po? Then we have also the subsystem B which produces the output. Okay, para ibalik dun sa mismong environment. Nakuha po. At itong tatlong to, okay, they are exchanging information with each other. Okay, to produce the output itself. Okay po? And yung mismong interconnection ng subsystem na to, it is called a system itself. Nakuha po. So, yung interface, okay, yung interface ang tinutukoy natin is, ito yung magiging, ayan, yung mismong interface. Okay? Wherein it is being used to interact with the system itself. Okay po. Itong integration of subsystem kasi is, ito yung kasunod pa, mamaya. Okay po. So, next, let's have the black box. So, sir, ano pag sinabi nating black box? So, pag sinabi nating black box, okay, it is the term that is used in information system to define the system whose transformation at the processing level are not defined by the system. Okay? Sir, ano po bang nangyayari dun sa mismong black box system? Okay? Sa black box system kasi, okay, yung system is being initialized with a predefined set of inputs and certain output. Okay? That is being determined on the basis of ideal behavior of the system. Okay, so, okay po. So, any transformation na mangyayari dun sa mismong subsystem level is hindi yun defined by the black box system. Okay? Nakatago yun. Okay po, nakuha. So, ito dito sa loob niyan, black box system, kung mapapansin niyo, syempre, color black siya because you really don't know what is happening inside the subsystem itself. Okay po? Yung transformation na nangyayari dun sa loob, hindi mo siya alam. Okay? And usually, ito yung mga, best example nito is, yung mismong end user, or yung mismong, for example, is you have a client. Okay? Then, you are presenting your system itself. Okay? For example, is yung thesis ninyo. Okay? They don't know what is happening dun sa mismong loob. Okay? Yung codes mo is hindi naman nila nakikita. Okay? They cannot debug it. Okay? So, yun yung binabanggit natin na part ng mismong black box system. Nakuha po. So, next, let's have the decomposition. So, sir, ano naman po pag sinabi nating decomposition? Okay. So, decomposition of system defines the division of system into a various subsystem. Okay po. So, it allows you to perform complex tasks with a greater ease. Okay? Kasi moreover, okay, the division of system into a various subsystem leads to hierarchical arrangement of the operation process at the system level. So, ang nangyari dito is that yung mismong isang malaking system, okay, it will be divided into a smaller unit until the smallest unit of the system becomes manageable at the system level. Okay po? So, ito yung usually na ginagawa ninyo, na for example, is by group yung system na ginagawa ninyo, yung pinaghahati-hati nyo siya. Okay, naka-per module na ito yung gagawin mo, ito yung para sa'yo, okay? Kasi mas madali siyang gawin. And then at the end, ang gagawin mo na lang doon is pagsasama-samahin mo na lang siya. Okay po? Nakuha. So, pero ayun yung purpose ng decomposition. Para mas madali siyang ma-manage. Okay po? Mas madali siyang ma-manage dun sa part ng system level. Okay po? So, instead of creating a complex system as a whole, ang gagawin mo is you are going to decomposite it into a smaller unit. Okay po? Maliwanag. So, for example, another example is yung sa organization, sa isang organization, sa isang company, where multiple units integrate with each other to achieve a common objective. Okay? Yung mismong system na yun is, bawat department may kanya-kanya silang system. May production, may sales, may marketing, then may finance. Okay po? Nakuha. So, ayun, may mga kanya-kanya silang ginagawa. May mga kanya-kanya silang tasks. Okay po? And then, for example, yung system na nasa production, paghahati-hatian pa yon. Okay? Nakukuha po. So, ayun yung sinasabi natin na decomposition. You are dividing the system into a various subsystem that is manageable. Then, next, let's have the integration. Okay po? So, sa integration naman is that, okay po. Sa integration naman, so once na decompose mo na yung mismong system for better management, okay, para ma-achieve mo naman yung common objective ng mismong organization, kailangan mo na ngayong integrate itong mga subsystem na to. Okay po, nakuha. For example, is tapos na. Okay, tapos na yung system, nagawa na ng kanyang-kanyang mga tao or yung mga person na involved. Okay? Yung mga subsystem is okay na. Gagawin mo naman doon is you need to integrate it. Okay po? Para makuha naman yung common objective ng isang organization. Kasi yung ginawa kanina na decomposition, you are just getting the objective of a particular department or a particular task. So, ngayon, you need to integrate it. Okay po? So, the collation of the output from all the subsystem para makapag-produce ng desired output. Okay po? At yun yung tinatawag na integration. Nakuha. So, eto, kumbaga dito sa mismong sa mismong figure natin, okay? So, sila may mga kanya-kanya silang system na ginagamit. Okay po? May kanya-kanya silang system na ginagamit. So, in order for them to achieve the common objective ng mismong organization nila, kailangan nila yung pagsama-samahin. Okay po? And that's the integration itself. Okay po? So, if you have questions, you could leave a comment or ayun, pwede kayong magtanong dun sa mga ginagamit, dun sa ginagamit nating platform. Okay? So, that's it. Let's call it a day. You are being dismissed. Thank you, everyone.